Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar event. My name is Joshua, and I'm going to be your presenter today. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay, coming through loud and clear. My computer is clearly a couple minutes behind here, so we're going to go ahead and get started. It's 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Might have some folks popping in here at the last minute, but we're not going to hold off. We're going to go ahead and get moving now. So we're here to talk about internal reports in Church Windows Accounting. Before we get on that, a couple things. If you've never attended a webinar event before, please use the little red arrow at the top right or left of your sidebar there. That allows you to minimize the webinar control panel, gets it out of the way. This is particularly important if you're have a single monitor, or if you've got a dual monitor set up, just drag that out of the way off to your second desktop just to get the full visual presentation of the webinar today. A recording of today's webinar event will be available on our YouTube channel by no later than 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this coming Friday. If you've not checked out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/churchwindows, please do so. There are hours of material there that's of our recorded webinars and what have you that is there for the consumption at any time. As I joke on my support calls, just pop a big old bowl of popcorn and go out there and have at it. Lots and lots of fun entertainment for Church Windows out there. If you have questions for me, please type those in the questions panel of the control bar here. I will do my best to keep an eye on those and see what I can't do to keep an eye on them and answer. If they're topical, I'll try to answer it during the webinar event, but if nothing else, I'll get to it at the end. And if you've seen what you came to see at any point, please feel free to exit the webinar at any point. Thank you so much for attending. I'm not going to go any longer than 20 minutes after for sure, just simply because we try to be respectful of your time. And so we appreciate you taking the 20 minutes out of the day to spend with us today. So we're going to go into accounting. And I guess this is being taken from our A201 workbook, by the way, pages 26 and 27. This primarily covers the two that it really talks about are the summary of cash activity and the check register. But I think that's not going to be enough material to spend for our 20 minutes, so I'm going to probably be able to deviate off into some other reports here as well. Basically, the other reports are, if we go up to reports and export at the top and we go to financial, what we're going to be talking today are about anything other than the big three up here. So we're not going to talk about the balance sheet, fund activity report, or treasurer's report. Those would be more published reports, ones that we're going to release externally. What we're talking about are reports that we might use more internally in Church Windows for, our bookkeeper or somebody who might be having to use the software more and trying to find out information that's going to help internally within not only the software but just internally for you. These reports that we're going to be talking about aren't necessarily the reports that we would publish for public consumption. So the first that we're going to talk about here is under our worksheets and our summary of cash activity. This is honestly, folks, this is a very commonly overlooked or underutilized report. It is as described. It's basically a summary of the cash activity that occurred within one of our particular asset accounts. So it defaults to our main accounting year, and the current accounting year, in this case 2016. We then are required to choose a particular asset or bank account. I can't run it for all of them. I can only run it for one asset account at a time. And then in the upper right here, where you have to enter a date range. So one of the things that I like to mention about this is that this is one of the actual few accounting reports that we can actually run for just a single day if we want to. So I'm going to backdate this, say, to March, or you can type in the date too. It doesn't really matter. We're going to type in March 1st through March 31st, and there you can only control the fonts. There's no columns tab on the summary of cash activity report because it reports on some very specific information. Okay, and then when we simply click print, it does reveal our summary of cash activity report for the month of March in this particular case. So as I zoom in on this, we're going to kind of hopefully get some folks some. First of all, it does verify our report name and the dates at the top. The date we're also printing the report on our computer. Then, it most importantly, hopefully everybody can see that. Let me zoom in one more click here. Maybe that makes it easier. How about two? Why not? Hopefully it should make it easier for folks to read. So it, one, verifies our asset account that we're running it for, here, our Huntington Bank checking, for March 1st through March 31st. It's one page. So it says cash balance as of March 1st at the beginning of the day. So then our added transactions, so from all of the possible sources in our database, so from income in accounting, donations, transfer debits, journal entry debits, and accounts receivable debits. Basically any transactions that would be possibly being additions or increases to the account, and then a total of all of our additions. And then our subtractions, in this case our payments, our payroll checks, our transfer credits, and our journal entry credits. Basically any monies that would be reducing our asset account, and then the total subtractions, and then the cash balance at the end of the day. Okay? Particularly helpful, we strongly recommend, say, running this for your when you're getting ready to run your bank reconciliation or to do the monthly bank reconciliation. Run this report for the bank reconciliation period, or the month as the case may be. Because all this does is it verifies the actual transactions that occurred within the statement period. It doesn't factor in any outstanding checks or deposits that would have been carried over from the end of the prior month, just simply current year activity or current month activity. That's it. So it does allow us to isolate our current month totals versus anything that would have been carried over from the prior month. Also, it is very helpful. This is a good report to run when you're posting your bills and your payments on a particular day. We have lots of users that run this summary of cash activity as soon as they're done with posting those bills and income and everything else. Like we have a lot of users running it, say, today because they're entering their income from donations. They may be paying a lot of bills today, and they run this report just to verify, here's what the transactions and the totals that I posted to affect my cash account or accounts today. And generally what we have found is that folks who run this summary of cash activity on a day, on a per daily basis when they're running their when they're posting their transactions, they generally tend to have a little bit better luck or have less problems with the bank reconciliation. It's just more information on something that they've posted on a particular day. Again, one of the nice things about it is you can enter a specific date. It's one of the few reports in accounting that allows us to run it for one particular day. So again, in my experience, users that post a lot of bills and payments and a lot of income on one day, they'll come in and print this report for just that specific single day. Okay? And that'll then verify for them, here's what I did to affect my cash account today. Okay? Very helpful and useful report. Again, when I'm trying to see how much did I record as income, how much came in through donations, what else did I do? Did I post any transfers that added to the asset account balance? Were there any journal entries that added the account balance or any accounts receivable collected transactions? Okay? Second report we're going to go over is our check register, which is found under Reports, Transaction, and Check Register. Not too terribly much to this report again, albeit it is one of the few reports that we can run for, again, a specific day. So right here, notice it says date range, okay? But you can run it for particular days. So if you want to print you're paying a lot of bills in one day, and you want to see which checks you posted and printed, right there, this check register will show that, okay? So again, you have to choose a date, an accounting year, a particular asset account, and then we're going to run this, say, for January of 2016. And we simply click print. This is, as described, it is literally a list of all of our payments, check transactions that have been posted out of our system in a particular month, or date range. again, a lot of the times folks will call us or contact support asking us, say, hey, why doesn't this include my deposits? Why doesn't this include any of my EFT transactions? It's a check register, folks. That's all it is. It's not meant to do anything but just to simply list all of the checks that we've posted in the system, including payroll checks if necessary. Okay, if they're checks, if they have a check number, they're going to be included. So again, check register report, date of the check number, account, pay amount, a payee name, and comments. Now you do have columns here, so we could add a cleared status to this as well if we wish. Okay, but it doesn't ask us can we show cleared or uncleared. It's just going to be a list of checks regardless of whether they've cleared or not. Okay, so right here it says cleared no. Okay, again, we get a lot of requests to say, hey, I want to see all of the activity as it occurred within my accounts on my check register, my deposits, my withdrawals, my EFT transactions, anything that added money or took money out. Well, that's not what this report is for, folks. If you want to see that, again, we'll be happy to add it to suggestions for you, certainly. But if you want to see more details and activity of that, then we would recommend going up to something like reports and, say, general ledger. Now, this report I cannot run for a specific day. I can choose to run it for a month or for the year. But again, under my, say, asset account, I certainly could do Huntington Bank checking. Say I want to run it for the month of March. And I can here, this is one of the differences as opposed to the other reports, is if I do want to, say, run it for specific transaction types here on the left. You see that? Bill, payments, in this case, these transactions that affect our cash accounts would be things like income, transfer, journal entry, debit or credits, payments, donations, payroll, or our accounts receivable collected transactions. Okay, so if I choose just my Huntington Bank checking and I run it for the month of March and click print, this is going to be all of my transactions, debits and credits to my checking account for, in this case, one particular month. All right. This and the transaction journal are two of our most detailed reports that we can get in the software. We can't really get much more detailed in this case more than our general ledger or our transaction journal. But if you call me and say, hey Josh, why can't I get those other transactions on my check register? I'm going to say, well, because it's not meant to. The report isn't for that. If we want to run it to include other transactions, we should look at something like our general ledger. Okay, now again, I can't run it for a specific day, but I can limit it to a specific month. And I do have a lot more column control here. So I can, I have more columns to choose from. I can, add and take away columns to and from this report, like I do with other ones, unlike my summary of cash activity, which again is designed to report on specific information. Okay? General ledger is really important. If I want to run it for the year, sure, I can run it for the year, but most likely our questions are going to be about a narrower period than that. Maybe, maybe not. So again, check register, if that doesn't bring in all the transactions you're wanting, try running the general ledger instead. Again, just a few other reports here, a couple of other reports that I think are frequently overlooked. You do have your deposit slip, of course, in Church Windows. One of the things that I like to observe, it is a deposit slip, and it can include your bank account information. Some users will use this check register or the deposit slip report in conjunction with the deposit slip that they get from the bank. So let's say if we choose let's backdate it to a period when we know we've got transactions here. So we would do date of January 31st. Well, it wouldn't be. I don't know what date I've got here. So I'd have to find a date when I've got some transactions in here. But it will bring in, one of the things I'm wanting to look at here is donations date of January 10th, say. 0110. We choose the particular asset account in question. One of the things that I point out about this is, notice down here on the left it says include accounting entries and include donations entries. So what that means is that if I've got recorded some, say, non-donations giving or monies into my bank account on the same day, I can include both the donations transactions and my accounting entries together on one deposit slip, so I can put all of those monies together into one deposit bag and make the whole collected deposit for all of those. Okay, I don't have to post everything, say, through donations. There's a lot of misunderstanding about that. Well, if I want to include it on my counter's deposit, don't I have to run it through donations? Not at all. As long as you enter it under in accounting with the same date, I can include everything on one single deposit slip. And then it should reveal my cash and my coin and my checks together. Then when I click print, it puts them all here in order based on check number only. Can you sort the deposit slip report first by dollar amount, then by check number? That's a great question, Christy. No, it can only be sorted it only is going to sort in check number order, I'm afraid. Yeah, good question. But again, a lot of something unknown about it is, can we include both our accounting and donation entries on the same deposit slip in accounting, provided they have the same date? The answer is absolutely yes. Okay. Another report here, a couple of other reports that I want to make sure that we're aware of here are under our worksheets are our accounts payable reports. Again, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail here, but these are simply reports about our accounts payable vendors, whether it's the aging report or show payments due by or accounts payable journal. Just an FYI, there are more reports here for this. Let me just get rid of my drawing tools here. List account balances is a list chart of accounts, of course, is just a listing of all of our accounts through a particular period of time, whether year to date through a particular month. It is literally just that. All of my entire chart of accounts, starting with my assets all the way down through my expense accounts in account number order, starting in that order. Assets at the top, expenses at the bottom. So if I run it through March and I want to include, I can include or omit accounts with zero balances. I do have column control here. Folks call me on support and ask me a lot. Say, hey Josh, I want a list of just my chart of accounts without any account information or without any balance or amount information on it. Absolutely. Take off current month, year to date, and include accounts with zero balance. Click print, and here is our entire list chart of accounts, starting with assets all the way down to the bottom through expenses. So assets into liabilities, then accounts payable vendors, then into my fund balances, and then ultimately into my income and my subsequent expense accounts. Really, really helpful report. Okay. There are other reports too. There's simply not enough time in our 20 minutes to be able to cover that. But one of the others here, other things that folks are unaware of is that like under tax. Notice right up here we've got tax reports. So right here, if that's your 1099s or your 1096s that you can produce directly from accounting for any vendors or payees that you're paying through. Contractors that you're paying through accounting. You don't need to own Church Windows Payroll in order to be able to issue 1099s for contractors. Okay? That's, again, a common misunderstanding. Can I only produce 1099s from payroll? No. Right here under 1099 miscellaneous, as long as it's miscellaneous or interest income, it can absolutely be produced directly from accounting. We're getting a lot of calls here at this particular time of year about our budget reports. So right here you've got your budget report that allows you to run your budget. So, folks, call us if you have questions about these reports. There are lots and lots of reports in the system here that are available and at your disposal that are going to help you both internally. And but as I like to say on my support calls when I tell folks I can't help you if you don't call me. Okay. So it's 20 minutes after, folks. We're going to wrap things up right there. If you have questions, please type those in to me. I know it takes sometimes a few minutes or a couple minutes to type in those questions into me, but if you've seen what you came to see, by all means, you don't have to stick around. There may not be a lot of questions folks have. You're most welcome, of course. Thank you. Great question, Penny. I don't think we'll be repeating this webinar probably anytime soon, but as I started at the very beginning, we will have a recording of this particular event up on our YouTube channel by 5 p.m. Eastern Time, no later than this Friday. So it'll be at youtube.com/church windows by 5 o'clock on Friday, probably earlier. You're most welcome. Thank you all so much for attending. I don't know if anybody's typing something in, but it looks like folks are diving out pretty quickly here. All right. Well, I'm not seeing anything come in. Thank you, Christy. I appreciate it. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar for everybody. And again, please check out our YouTube or our webinars list on our website right now. We've got a whole bunch out there, and we look forward to seeing you at another webinar event. Thanks all. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.